Introduction to Cloud Computing, Zoho. Not only is Zoho fun to say, I mean, go ahead, say it, Zoho. Pretty cool. It's also a great cloud computing application service. It is software as a service, gang, and it offers, at least at the recording of this CBT nugget, over 20 to 25 applications you can use. We're going to concentrate more on the business kind of apps that deal with things like your documents and your workspaces with, spreadsheets and presentations. We're also going to take a look at the mail, just show it that it's there, and how you can set up a control panel as an IT admin, but also we'll give you a preview of some of the other incredible tools that you can use if you want to. Rather straightforward with our Zoho applications, we're going to set up your organization. Basically, that's going to be like your company that eventually you'll add your domain information to and be able to set up your email and other things too. We'll take a look at the admin console where you add users. You can set up group policies and organization policies on how people can use it, whether they're super admins or whether they're just regular users. And then we'll give you a basic introduction to Zoho Docs and just the interface, what it looks like, and how simple it is to create new documents, whether it's word processing, you got spreadsheets, you got your presentations, you got everything, and how you can handle those. Zoho is one of those cloud computing applications that is just going to almost overwhelm you a little bit. Not because of just how hard it is or maybe technical it is, but just the amount of tools that you have from a cloud computing standpoint. They're one of, just as Google with our Gmail and the Google apps and things that we've seen, here at www.zoho.com, you can go in, and whether you are going as a personal, just one-on-one person, you have a lot of free applications that you can use, productivity and collaboration apps, things like email, word processor, it's called Writer, and Sheet, and Show, and we'll see that. Today, of course, we're going to concentrate mostly on Zoho Docs and show you how some of that works. But take a look at some of these also business apps that you can run. If you don't want to run Salesforce because of the cost and how it's run, Zoho has a CRM solution that you can use. Meetings, which is like web collaboration and web conferencing, which is available. Database app creators, invoicing, projects, and one that is kind of new here, at least at the recording of this video, is Zoho Recruit. Now, if you're a human resource and a headhunter or something like that, this applicant tracking system is pretty cool. And now take a look at this. When you fire off this thing, you're going to have the ability, for free, by the way, up to one HR person can track for up to 5 job postings, and they give you a whole bunch of things. And then if you go, well, okay, that's for free, but there's the free edition. You have one recruiter, and you can interview and guest interviewers and guest users, unlimited, job openings 5, how much storage, requisition management, a lot of things. You can do email support and mass mailing you can't do. And then, here's some things that are obviously a little bit more advanced. But take a look at this. It's all available on their professional business, where you can get both email and phone support. You can do 250 mailings a day. You get all the embedded website and email stuff. And check this out. You can get standard edition is $12 per recruiter, and that's $12 a month. I mean, think about the prices that you pay for licensing for a lot of things. That's one of those advantages that we have when it comes to using cloud computing because of the power that it has. So let's go back and going to go ahead and take a look at ours, which is, of course, going to be Zoho Docs and how we can get that set up. Now, what we've done is I went ahead and I have a business edition set up, $9 a month, up to 3 users. And you can expand this, by the way. You can expand this. Basically, if you look at it, $9 for a business edition is just merely taking the $3 per user per month, and I just made sure that I had 3 users so I can add them in and show you how to do that. Now, we go ahead and we sign in, and to do this, as a new user, you can sign up for free. I tell you, go ahead and do this. It's really simple. It just asks you for some information, some email that it can send to, and that way you can click and say that, yeah, I'm a real person. But I went ahead and already signed up, and of course, Mr. CBT Nuggets is here, and I'm going to sign in to the Docs, Zoho Docs. Now, if you look at Zoho Docs, this looks very familiar, doesn't it? Especially if you've seen our Google apps and some of the Google Docs that we've taken a look at already. And the same thing is, how you view it. You have your navigation pane over here, views of recent documents, your spreadsheets, your presentations, all the things that you can build and put together utilizing Zoho Writer or Zoho Sheet for these two, or Zoho Show, which is my presentations. You can see, of course, all your workspaces that are set up in order for people to work together. The documents that you can then shared to you from other people or shared by you. And then any recent documents that you've put together. Your storage is put right here. You can see that your usage right now, I haven't done a lot of things, and we can see how much free space is put here. In there, any reviews of documents that have been put out, and even if you don't have people that edit your documents, you can even have them rate your documents, like this is a good document or not. So what we'll want to do, though, is go ahead and go over here to the admin console. So we go to admin console, and it's going to open up here, and because I'm just starting off, I'm helping you guys walk through this, we're going to create the organization that we have. Now, so of course it is Mr. CBT Nuggets. That's the name of our organization that we're going to do. So I go ahead and click proceed. It goes through and creates our organization. Now, when you get to the control panel, there's going to be a couple of things that are set up here. First off, from the dashboard. So we can see here we have our dashboard. We also have domains that are configured that are within here. You can either add a current domain that you own. You can buy a domain, very similar to what we saw with our Google apps when we went in for Google Premier, and you can buy it from GoDaddy or something like that, so that's possible. Users that you have, right now currently we have one user. You can add users simply by clicking on here. It will then ask you to put in an email. So if I click on an add user, you can type in an email address. So I could, maybe send one to James at mrcbtnuggets.com if I want to. That's a possibility. I've already actually done that. Or you can import users. Check this out. You can click on the down arrow here, and you can select by .csv file, comma separated variable file, which basically go into an Excel spreadsheet, put in your username information and all that, and then import it. Also LDAP, of course, utilizing when you're using like an Active Directory structures and things like that, you can utilize that lightweight directory access protocol. So these are just some ways of doing it, especially if you have a larger environment. Now I'm guessing the most of you that are taking the cloud computing here from us probably have maybe 20, 30 employees, but you might have more. I mean, hey, if you got 50 employees, that's a lot to go in. Add user, add user, add user. Hey, 20 users, not that bad. Go in, add, send it to the email. They'll click on their email, it'll come back, and then you can then approve that, and they'll have all that information in there. But this is just a way for people with larger user bases and larger companies to be able to do that. So we can use that. Then there's policies. Love this. Organizational policies. Now right now, by default, and this is why it's important that you get in here, all members, anyone that comes into your Zoho apps, that are invited, and I got 3 users, and so all 3 users as members would then be able to create organization policies. They could come in here and do that. They could create personal groups. Then they could create personal group policies, document sharing, stuff that they're doing. Export documents. Can they publish documents? Look at all these things you can do. Document sharing. These are all things that they're able to do. So anytime you look at this and these organizational policies, by default, the permissions for all of these is given to all organization members. What you really want to do is come in and have a super admin, administrator, or moderators, things like that you can set up. So in this case, we could say, you know what, only super administrators can do this. Only super administrators can do this. Or, no, you know what, tell you what, we'll create some admins for different departments. that can do that, and then they can of course do at least that. Document sharing, of course, everybody wants to be able to share that. Do we want to be able to export documents? Yeah, that sounds good. Publish them? Yeah, that sounds good. You know, you go through, and your mileage may vary, obviously, depending on how you want to set up your particular organization. You just simply come down here, click Save, and then it will then implement that across your organization, or in this case, Mr. CBT Nuggets. Now, there are, of course, other security things that you can do. That's why you have to love cloud computing. They've really taken it to the next level to make sure that security is a big thing, because most of us as IT guys, we think, oh my goodness, I'm sending this stuff, it's out there on somebody else's servers, it's doing this, it's that. Oh, that's horrible. Well, no, not necessarily. You can control certain things. Now watch this. How would you like to control who has access based upon their IP address? Oh yes, you can do it. You can set up restrictions based on all IPs. Just add an IP from, to. You can add it, you know, from the different roles. Restriction, you don't want to change the roles. You can do the super administrator, the administrator, the user roles, things like that. And again, that's the same as what you see up here. You know, if you click on super admin IPs, you can set those up for only super admins, whether admins can access. And now, why would you want to do that? Well, let's say that you want to make sure that people within your organization, if you have everyone set up on switches and routers, and you have maybe your admin set up in a different VLAN, and you want to make sure that only people from that VLAN can come in and access this particular console. Hey, no problem, you can do that. Or maybe location. You only want super admins to be able to make super admin changes from the building that you are operating out of. I mean, sure, everyone can access the admin console and do maybe a couple of different things, possibly, but super admin duties can only be accessed from the building itself. Can't go out to Berlin and hop on the web cafe and start doing things, because, hey, you never know. That's one way to make sure that only people that are there at the building that you can kind of keep an eye on are going to be able to do that. So in the case of like domains, for example, we have no domains configured. Now I can go in and add the Mr. CBT Nuggets, Mr. CBT Nuggets. .com. And so when I do this, it's going to set it up and say this is a domain that is going to have with my website access and configuration controls and things like that. And you just simply put in the domain. Notice it's a domain you need to own, and then you just click OK. You can also buy the domain, like I said earlier. So this is where you're going to administrate most of your things in the admin console. So we'll go ahead and close this out. Haven't really made too many changes there. To gain access to this after you've gone through is you simply come over here to admin console, click on it, bada bing, bada boom, there you are, back to Mr. CBT Nuggets, and you're set up for that. You can edit the information here. You got the locations. You can define the locations, so that way for time zones, addresses, information like that, set that up. And then, of course, others. You can delete the organization completely. When you do that, though, be careful, because you lose all your data, everything. All the users added, any organization applications in Zoho, because remember, you saw how we had all those applications in Zoho. All those will be taken care of. You'll lose your domain and domain-based emails that you've configured within the organization, because remember, we had the Mr. CBT Nuggets domain, and then we can set up to where it's no longer Zoho, it's actually using your domain, and the email will be forwarded to this particular area, just like Google Apps. So it's the same technique. Beyond the scope of this particular video, you can easily do it. They have a help panel that will walk you through, a little wizard that will allow you to do that. But I'm just pointing this out from a delete organization. You be very careful. Do not delete. Don't press delete. You will lose everything. You'll have a lot of very unhappy people. But again, to get the admin console, you just simply come up over there, and you're able to access it there. So again, this is pretty much a review of just how you get in with your admin console for the Zoho Docs, which allows you to then have collaboration and have your own workspace. All your users will be able to upload their documents that they then create with the Zoho Write, the Zoho Sheets, and even the Zoho Show, which we're going to show you here in just a second. But see here the navigation. If you need to add any more folders, you can expand everything else. If you want to create a new document, you can upload a file. So if I want to upload a desktop file, I can do that, which is basically desktop is from your computer. You can, by the way, go to Google Docs. If you have your access, like how to get into Google Docs, set it up, it will allow you to gain access to your Google Docs as well. Go ahead and click on that, and you must authenticate it yourself with your Google account. So I'll go ahead and click on Authenticate Google. You got to love this right here. And so I'm going to come down here and bring this window in so we can see it. And look at what you would do. I would just come in here and I would go in with Mr. CBT Nuggets and do my top secret password here, and then I would just click in here, and once you've done that, and of course it helps if you type in your password correctly, and then once you click that, sign in, and now you can have this access. So I can say this is, because this is a gadget, by the way, for Google. Zoho goes in as a gadget into your Google accounts, set up for Mr. CBT Nuggets, and then you just go ahead and click Grant Access. And of course you can revoke access at any point in time if you want to. So we go ahead and we grant access it, and then it says right now, of course, because I haven't really put anything in there, documents, spreadsheets, or PDFs, I can access those, and then boom, I can then add them to my particular environment. So I'll go ahead and close this out, and back we go. And upload, again, you can do bulk uploads. Desktop files simply goes out to your desktop. You can say which folder do you want to put it in, my uploaded documents. You click on Browse. You simply pick something. Let's click Title for the Science Fair. I click that. I click Upload. Notice you do have a 50 meg file size limit for this. So you go ahead and click Upload, and boom, there it is. So I've got some documents here in my uploaded documents folder. So I can go ahead and then start editing them. So that's how we kind of basically get set up with our Zoho Docs, how we get files in, get our users in, maintain this for our particular domain in the cloud computing arena. Next, though, let's show you a couple of the applications you can use for your users. Zoho Docs really has a lot of functionality to it, in the fact that you can actually come up here. Let's say you didn't want to really operate within the document organization. I like to think of this almost like, as it says, your desktop, where you have your papers and everything strewn across your desk. But if you really just want to dive into one particular application, click on the Switch To. Switch To will then allow you to click on any one of these, and it will take you to that particular application, whether you're creating that Zoho wiki for your project, that, you know, all the definitions in it, your planner, your chat, your meeting, your creator, your notebook, you know, for databases, sharing, those kind of things. So let's say we wanted to go ahead and go to just a Zoho Writer. So when I click on Zoho Writer, it goes ahead and it opens up a separate window, which is nice. So I still have this in the background, and we'll come on down here, bring it in so we can see what's going on. And you'll notice that once Zoho Writer comes in, it says, all right, here you go. Ready to go, ready to run through. We are running, of course, because I am in the business, not personal. I have access to Zoho Writer and Zoho Sheets, as well as Show, and each one of my users would then have access to that as well. And very similar to what you've seen in most of the cloud computing online interfaces for your particular applitions, in this case a word processor. So what are you going to be able to do? You can type in some things, you know, hello from the world of Zoho. So I'm typing that in. I can highlight things, you know, change the format. I can go and notice, again, just like with many of these, you don't have all the really cool fonts that you would get in something like a Microsoft Office product, or you know, if you're running on Apple, you know, your Pages documents and stuff like that. Yeah, you're not going to get all those kind of good things. So we can do that. So if we come up here, click on that and say I want to move to what's a good one, Palatino. So we go to Palatino. and then we can highlight it again and say we want it to be 12 points. We'll make it bigger. You can go in and do the bold. I can go ahead and click on here and change the color. You can use the background color. You can use a lot of different little things, just to do this. Now, what you're going to notice, you've already seen it once, and it'll probably do it here in just again, is if you don't remember to save this or give it a name, for its autosave capability, it's going to pop up a message here in just a minute, and it's going to say, hey, do you want to, what do you want to call this, and what do you want to save this as? But in the meantime, look at this. We've got the insert. We can insert pictures. We can insert little emoticons and comments to this. We can even come over here and set up from the author's name and the date that things were actually done. HTML. We can do calculations and equation editors and special characters. So we have a lot of things. Oh, and there he is. Yep. Enter his document name. So we could say this is our hello document. All right, and click Save. And so now it's been set up and ready to go, and it's been saved. So the auto save will work in that thing. Look at down here. This is kind of good. The versioning number of the document is always important. Who the author is, when it was modified, when it was created. It gives you a lot of information about this, so that way when you are starting to do reviewing and sharing this, so if I wanted to share this out, I can. Look right here, you can see you can save it. You can save as, so I can save it as just a regular thing or as a template, so you can create templates here. Kind of neat. You can print. You can even export it. Here, let me click off of that. You can add, check out the document properties. You can do undos, cut, paste, everything else. And then over here is share. When you click on share, this will allow you to share it out to people that are users. You can publish it. Now, when you click on publish, you can make this public within your organization, or check this out. In the Zoho world, in the Zoho community, you can make this document available for people to download and work with. So, that's kind of cool. They also have the doc roll. And the doc roll, when you click on that, this is a way for you to add it to your document roll on a blog. Gotta love this. There's a little script you can add to a web page or blog and say, hey, this is one of the things I'm working on, the recent post that I've done. Hey, great. It's doc roll is basically like a blog roll. So if you're bloggers and you're familiar with that, you have that capability. You can email it out. You can even send it with DigiSign. So you can digitally sign this to make sure that people know that it's from you. And so you get some functionality. I mean, digital signatures are things that you get like in Outlook, but you have those capabilities here within the Write. So this is Write. So we'll go ahead and click save on that one. If you wanted to, let's go ahead and switch over here to Zoho Mail. Zoho Mail, to show you, we're going to show you a couple more of the other ones. And notice it always opens up in a separate window here. I'll bring another window in here, and here is our Zoho Mail. Very similar to what we saw in Gmail or any of the others, Microsoft's Live Mail, Yahoo Mail, those online mail environments. Very similar. Compose, get the latest messages. You can put labels on the messages. Very similar to what we did with your Gmail when we saw this. So we can call this CBT Nuggets. And since Nuggets is yellow, we can use yellow and blue, and we'll go ahead and hit yellow. And so you can add the CBT Nuggets label to something and find that email if you want. So select. Let's see, this one's the CBT Nuggets one, and put a CBT Nuggets label on it, and there's a little label, and if you roll your mouse over, it tells you that's a CBT Nuggets. So very similar, very straightforward. So I'm going to, before I have 100 windows open, I'll go ahead and close this window, and let's go back and let's go ahead and switch over to one other nifty one. This is one that I really like, and that's Zoho Show. Zoho Show is basically your PowerPoint on the web. Very similar to Google presentations. when they do that. So you can create a new presentation. You can import one. If you have a PowerPoint, by the way, it can also do open office presentations, the SXI, or you can create a new one. So and you have your themes and the things that you have set up. So we'll go ahead and create one and come down here and we'll give it a name and we'll say welcome to CBT Nuggets. Description: training for all the new hires in our Oregon headquarters. And we'll have that. Tags you can add to this, and of course you separate tags by putting, you can put the comma, and then we could say training, and then you could put a home office, things like that. You can add the tags. Then choose which category you want, the different types of presentations, and you can see that you have several different types. You have the jazzy type, you have the funky type. You gotta love this fantasy, perspective, showing different things. And if you think about it from an overall presentation standpoint, these are pretty straightforward. If you're just doing a simple presentation, and of course you can add your own stuff. It's not like you have to use what they have here, like optical future. So we go ahead and select optical future, come down here and say let's go ahead and start creating our show. So we go in and we get into our online presentation editor, and we're going to just start building our presentation similar to anything else that we've done in any of our other organizations. You can go ahead and of course add a new slide here. If you click the down arrow, you can create a new slide, duplicate slide, delete slide. You can do that. You can make the changes. You can share, you can publish, you can export, you can see the slideshow in action, run it as a slideshow, and that's neat because, hey, anywhere in the world, you're on the internet, go ahead and run your slideshow presentation. Pretty sweet. And they got some more things you can do. You can duplicate it, add timers, footers, grids, and guidelines, print it, embed it in somewhere. Some other tools that you have here. You can insert here anything from images to link and things like that. And you even have actions that you can do right here. Bullets, bring to the front, paste. So a lot of the similar things that you would expect to find. And then of course you can just click on here and say this is welcome to CBT Nuggets. And now you're starting to go. And again, most everybody know how to utilize an application like that. And if you ever have any issues, or if you're like, I need some help, if you just click on the frequently asked questions, it will bring a link into Zoho Shows frequently asked questions. You can set up for settings, which of course is for universal, but you can import a presentation. You can do a lot of things. And so we'll go ahead and just save this one. The presentation is saved. Welcome to CBT Nuggets. I'm going to go ahead and close my window, and now I'm set up and ready to go. Now, when you look at the workspaces and the documents and the recent documents that you have, check this out under My Views. I said I want to go to recent documents that Mr. CBT Nuggets, me, the user, has worked on. Check this out. Here's Welcome to CBT Nuggets. Here's my hello document. Here's the two that I uploaded. It even tells you where it is, the uploaded documents. And then you can, check this out, download it right to your desktop. So if you want to keep this offline, you have offline capabilities as well. So there's your look at Zoho, a really neat group of applications. My suggestion for you is to get a personal account and check these things out. Try them out. It's free. You can mess around with them and see if this is going to work for your organization, and then once you do it, you're going to have the ability as an administrator to administrate this just like any of the other cloud computing applications, the SaaS, software as a service type of environment that you're used to. So we took a look really quickly in this particular CBT Nugget how we set up our organization in Zoho, and it's rather simple. You give it a name, and then eventually you associate your domain with that particular organization, and all easy to do. They have wizards that help you do that, as most of these software as a service organizations do. But we did take a quick look at the admin console to give you a little clue on how you can add users, how you can set up group policies, how you can can even restrict which type of IP addresses or which networks can access your Zoho. And then we took a look at basic introduction to the Zoho docs themselves, how we can use Writer and Zoho Sheet and the presentation, create these things and then save them to your docs folder, and how any user can do that, and then you can start collaborating. That's part of the power of cloud computing. I hope you enjoyed the training today, and I'd like to thank you for joining us.